What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So in my last video I asked you guys to vote on what I should do next, and the walkthrough of the new features is what won the vote, so let's get into it. So guys, before we dive into this walkthrough, I want to say sorry for not covering anything about the IR loader inside of BiasFX 2. It is a new feature inside of BiasFX 2, and it's actually a really cool new feature that I should have talked about. To be honest with you guys, I've never used impulse responses before, so I'm not very knowledgeable about them, and when I made my last video, I didn't even really know that they were included in BiasFX 2. I am aware of them now because of some of you guys commenting in my last video. So thank you guys for those of you who commented asking questions about them. I was thinking about trying to cover them in this video. There's two reasons I'm not really gonna show y'all anything about the IR loader in this video. And the first reason, just to be completely transparent, I don't know that much about them. I literally just learned about them a couple days ago. So I feel like for me to sit here and try to teach you guys about something that I'm still learning about, it just wouldn't be the best. The second reason is there's actually only 3 impulse responses that come with BiasFX right now. So there's going to be a bunch more coming that are made by Celestion. So what I'm thinking is that I'm going to keep looking into them, get a better understanding of them myself, and when the update comes for the MIDI and for the impulse responses, I'm going to do a more in-depth breakdown of them then. So I just wanted to make this part of the video, just for those of you guys who are disappointed that you haven't been seeing people talk about the IR loader. Anyway guys, let's get into the stuff that I do know about. So guys, I am using my Gibson SG I'll be using it for the majority of this video. I'm gonna switch over to my Strat at one point, but I'll let you know when. So the first new feature that I want to show you guys is the guitar matching feature. And what I want to do is just start out with showing you how to add a new guitar. So I've made profiles for my 2 main guitars right here. So my Gibson SG, and then I actually have a Strat that I built, and you've probably seen it in the background of some of my videos. I play my Gibson more. Anyway, but I'm going to show you, just for the sake of this video, how to do this, even though I've done it for both of my guitars. And so basically you come in here, you pick a name, and then you'll pick what type of guitar it is. So I'm using my SG, and it's like pretty much anything that you'd be using you can find in here. And then you just press add, and then it's going to take you to this window. And what you do in here, and you can actually change the type here if you didn't pick the right one. And then you pick what kind of, like if it's a single coil or a humbucker. So with my Gibson, in the neck position, it's a single coil pickup. So you're going to confirm that. And then what you do is you come in here, and this should be straightforward enough, but like what's funny is that when I was doing this, I thought that you wanted to play each note individually, but what they want you to do is strum it, but just make sure that each note rings out pretty clear. So this is how you'd want to do it. Okay, so now it's tracked the guitar with like just completely open. And then what you'll do is just hold down all the strings on the frets that they tell you. So on the 4th fret, you'd hold down all the strings, and then you'd go through this process. So you'd go through that process on the 8th and the 12th fret also, and then you continue to do that. So you continue to do that for all your positions. Personally, I just put this on humbucker in the middle position, even though my middle position is a mixture of single coil and humbucker. Anyway, guys, but that's how you make a profile for your guitar. I'm going to go ahead and delete this because I already have them. So for right now, we're using my Gibson. So a few things to know about the guitar matching feature. I find that you're going to get the most out of it if you make a whole preset for the guitar that you're trying to use. And I know that sounds like a lot of work, but I think that if you're trying to use this feature, you're going to get the best results like that. So my favorite Strat sound inside the guitar match is this one right here. The other thing that I want to say about the guitar matching is I actually find the highs to be kind of intense pretty much across the board. Like as I flip through the guitars that they have, the highs are way too loud and kind of intense. But so that's with the guitar match on, and then this is with it off. And typically a Gibson is going to be darker sounding than a Strat. But that's pretty drastic. And just to kind of show you guys, like a guitar that should actually be darker sounding than my guitar, this one right here, like a semi-hollow, should definitely have like a warmer, darker sound than my guitar. You can hear how much more intense those highs are. So I think that's one of the biggest flaws with the whole guitar matching in general. Like they have a lot of high frequencies baked into these. But something I do to help with that is, of course, you can make presets specifically for these guitars. The other thing is I come in here and just drop some of the highs in this EQ. This is actually just a really cool section just in general for the guitar matching, because you can actually come in here and like mix your dry signal with the guitar matched signal. So that's my guitar, how it sounds normally. Other than that's complete guitar match signal, and then you can like cut it somewhere in between. I think this is actually kind of cool if you wanted to just add a little bit of one of these tones to your normal tone, maybe for like a recording or a certain situation like that. But we're just going to pull it full wet to just kind of show this feature off. So this is the Rosewood Strat. This is definitely like my favorite Strat that I've used inside of this. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to say just in general about the guitar matching. I think you're going to get a lot better results if you try to match a completely different type of guitar than what you're using. So like when I try to match another Gibson inside of there, or try to match something else that has humbuckers, the results are really like, I feel like they're really just not that great. But with this, like matching a Strat with my Gibson, it kind of opens up some more tonal varieties with just one guitar. So anyway, I'm just going to kind of fiddle and turn it on and off and kind of show y'all how it sounds. I'm sure that you can hear a pretty drastic difference in those two recordings. So if I wanted to make a track that had like a funk feel to it and I didn't have a Strat, turning this on and like, you know, doing one of those little octaves or something like that with the guitar match turned on, you know, it makes this Gibson feel a whole lot more like a Strat, and I think that's pretty useful. So I did try making a Telly preset for the Gibson, but I'm actually not very happy with it. So I'm actually gonna show y'all a preset I made for my Strat that I think came out really good and kind of drives the whole point home of matching a guitar that sounds different than the guitar you're playing. So guys, I actually just switched over to my Strat. This is actually one that I built out of a kit, and it has like kind of high gain single coil pickups in it. If I had to describe the sound, it's somewhere between like a typical Strat kind of sound and a P90. But I wanted to kind of show y'all how a single coil guitar will sound if you want a high gain humbucker sound out of it. So I made this channel, which this guitar dirties up pretty well. But I find that with this, which it gets a lot noisier with that, that you can put this guitar on and just get like a, I mean, you can hear the difference. It's noticeable. That guitar adds a lot of gain, but it also just adds that, like, that fatter humbucker sound, I guess you could say. So I think basically I just wanted to do that to show you guys that if you have a single coil type guitar and you want to be able to, you know, make it sound like a humbucker for a track you're making or something, and or just make a big beefy backing track, you know, I think the guitar match is really cool for that. This JM Pro is definitely my favorite guitar for like to just get a humbucker high gain kind of sound. I mean, there's just so many guitars in here. I don't want to do any more demos than that. It would take all day. So guys, the next feature I want to go over with you guys is the looper. This is a preset that I made just for my SG. Something that I don't like is that the looper doesn't automatically match up to whatever is up here. Something that is kind of cool though is that it saves the beats per minute with your preset. So when MIDI comes out for this and you want to use this in a live situation, you can actually save presets with beats per minute so that you don't have to use a tap tempo. So I think that's going to be really cool when MIDI comes out. But something that is kind of annoying is that it doesn't automatically match to this. But say you are at like a different beats per minute, press this chain button, it'll reset your looper to be whatever the beats per minute of your effects are, and that's important for the time-based effects and stuff like that. So you can come in here to change how long you want it to record for. You can even do free, so I'm assuming that this will just record until you tell it to stop. You have click volume, looper volume down here, which is nice, and then you can tell it how many beats to do. Standard is 4 for like the length of a measure, so I'm just going to leave it on that. Anyway, so let's record something simple and just get a loop going. So we got one layer right there. And what you do if you want to add another one is you just click the record button again. I'm going to go ahead and put a drive on so that it just helps distinguish between the two. So now it's going to add that layer to the loop, and they're going to be, it's not going to treat them like two different recordings anymore. Basically, it just becomes one recording. And so you can just keep playing along with that. And say if you want to turn the volume down and play so that what you're currently playing is louder than the loop, you can do that too, which I think that's a really nice feature. But I think that the coolest thing about this whole looper is this export button right here. So you can press that, and for me, I have this app called Audio Share. Basically, it's an audio organizing app, and you can pretty much do the same thing with files, but I started using the iPad for my music stuff before they updated the files to be organized. So I still use Audio Share. I find it's just easy to, I feel like it's just an easy way to do this. So now I have it here, and say I wanted to send this to Cubasis or something. I can just click to send it to Cubasis, and from there I can start a whole new project with that audio. So I believe it's export to. Yeah, so if I wanted to, I could just drop that into Cubasis and then like change my beats per minute, and I could have a whole song idea just going right off of from the looper. So I think that's super cool. Yeah, that's pretty much the looper. If you wanna like start over, just press this garbage can symbol and it's gonna get rid of everything that you recorded into it. So the last thing I wanted to show you guys is the HD rack effects. I made this preset with with some of the ones that I really like. So I put this compressor in the beginning. So this compressor is really cool. I actually haven't messed around with it too much, but what's cool about this compressor is you can have it focus on different frequencies, and actually without messing with any of the settings at all. It's just a good sounding compressor. And something that's cool about it too is I find that it helps with the noise. So that's what the guitar sounds like just without it on, and then when you turn it on, to me it actually helps cut some of that noise out, which is cool. And I typically leave a compressor on, and without even messing with any of these settings, this compressor just sounds good to me. As far as the reverbs go, this is my favorite sounding reverb. I'm not actually going to talk about it anymore though, because it actually is included in the old bias effects, in the original bias effects. This is the only new reverb, and to be honest, I really don't like it that much. My favorite new rack effect though, hands down, is this delay unit. I'm not going to go super in depth in how to use it. I'm just going to point out some of the features that I really like. First thing, you can set your left and your right to sound differently, or you can just link the two. So I typically just leave it linked, but that does open up a lot of possibilities. The other thing is you can choose this time button or beats per minute, and in a nutshell, what this does is if you press time, it's going to make this speed knob have a direct effect to how long it takes for the delay to repeat itself. Where if you press the beats per minute, it's going to play off of what your beats per minute of your project are up here. So I like to leave it on beats per minute because I want this delay to react to the beats per minute that I have like my project set in, or if I have tap tempo set up to respond to that. So for me, I really like dotted eighth delays. So if you want to set this to a dotted eighth, you just click this button till you see the D right there. And then of course you can like move this up and down if you're in the beats per minute division to change between like 1/32, 1/16, 1/4, 1/2. The two timeless signatures that I like using with delays are either the dotted, like either a dotted eighth or a quarter note. To me, those are always just the most useful. And if I'm using a delay, it's because I want it to have a rhythmic feature to it. Otherwise, I would put a reverb on. So anyway, so I find that this setting is like typically what I like to have it on. You can mess with all these other knobs. They all have subtle effects. The other knob that has a really big effect on how it sounds is this one. I found that I like to leave it somewhere between like 3, 4, or 5 to like to kind of have that slapback feel. If you start turning it up though, this thing just gets crazy. Just starts going all over the place. Which bit can be cool depending on what you want it to do. I typically like delays to have like this, to not just be all over the place. But say if you something that's cool you can do with this delay is say you want it to kind of sound more like a reverb instead of a delay, is you could put those really high and put this kind of low, like put this to like a lower number. And it basically turns this thing into more of like a reverb sound than a delay sound. I mean, it still has that delay effect if you do like just like a solid, short noise. But when you and I guess most people would probably still consider that a delay, but I think what's cool about that setting is that it's kind of getting almost into reverb territory where it's just making everything sound big and like flowy and stuff. Anyway, so those are some really cool settings with this delay. So this is the other delay I was going to show you guys. This one's cool because you can control which like side the repeats happen in. So you can like, these little circles represent like the repeated frequency that the delay makes, and you can basically control how far over to the right or the left they happen in your ears, which is cool. So you can either move them around this big circle thing, or you can like click on one and move it, back and forth, which I guess the spread affects both of them, which I didn't know that, but that's interesting. But basically those repeats start happening on one side or the other. And then of course you can make it more or less analog, add bass, treble. And I'm gonna turn the feedback down because that's a lot. So the other thing is you can add and take away these little node things, these little circles with these buttons, and you can mess with the timing of things. This button right here, the 1/4 or 1/8 and 1/16, all it does is change the grid on the screen. It doesn't actually affect how the delay sounds. It just helps you have like visual indicators of where you're putting them. So this is a cool delay. I probably won't use it as much as I use this one. But it is cool how you can like set it to be like in such a specific place in your right or your left, like where the repeats are. I think that this could be really useful if you wanted to make something really ambient or just sound really full. You could just put a bunch of these nodes, and just spread them out so that they're just repeating like all over the place. And I'm sure there's some other uses for this, but I think that's the only thing I would do with it, is just kind of like put a big reverb behind it and just kind of let it fill up space. So guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of the new features in Bias FX 2. I'd love to hear what you think of the new features or how you're using them in the comments down below. But as always, to IMT, I'll catch you in the next one.